Have you thought about what civilization looks like on Mars?
There's two problems that we're going to have in order to make that dream a reality. How do you come home? So nobody likes talking about this because it takes away the hero image of the astronaut. But you've had plenty of astronauts freak out in space. They've tried to kill their whole crew before. It's going to be horrible. Elon has correctly identified probably the most important goal for Mars is to make it self-sustaining. So if someday something terrible were to happen on Earth and the resupply ships stopped coming, our species could continue on.
When it comes to getting to Mars and everything that SpaceX is doing, it seems like everything is geared towards that. I mean, what is it going to take to get there?
Yeah, well, I would say first, like, they're very good at setting very challenging goals at SpaceX, but when they achieve them, the capability has utility beyond that. So, they need, they want laser link communications between spaceships, but that also creates a giant mesh network across their constellation of Starlinks, which allows them to sell more consumer broadband and solve airplane and ship and vehicle internet connectivity, not to mention people living in sparsely populated areas, which contributes revenue, which further funds space development. So my point is, like, they kill a lot of birds with one stone. So yes, there is certainly an organizational objective of making life multiplanetary, and our best first stop on that journey is Mars. But when you have a fully reusable vehicle that tops off and refills propellant in low Earth orbit, you can send it anywhere. You can send it to the moon if you want. You can send it past Mars. It doesn't necessarily even have to have people on it. You could use it to send cargo for point-to-point DoD applications. You could put giant telescopes in them and send them to every corner of our solar system and have them be like these prefab discovery probes, because you basically have factories building these prefab spaceships. So the point is, even though it's like kind of a Mars focus, what they will get from this breakthrough of fully and rapid reusable vehicles has like broad utility. But man, Mars is a hell of a goal. It is a Manhattan Project, and there is a lot of things they're going to have to get right, and a lot of things the government is going to have to do. It can't all be on SpaceX's shoulders. And for that matter, all those other entrepreneurs you were talking about, they're all trying to contribute to that effort. Lots of problems that need to be solved in order to make that dream a reality.
I mean, what year are we looking at here? Is there a time frame?
I would say that within 10 years, we'll have astronauts on Mars. I mean, I don't want to ever be out of sync with some of Elon's timetables, but I think he's even recalibrated to, probably 2030s are a lot more realistic than. But we're going to see some cool stuff along the way. Like, do I think in 2026 he's going to send some starships with some Optimus robots on them, and maybe some will crash into Mars, maybe some will land? Totally. And that's going to look pretty awesome when you see a robot walking around on Mars, even if it happens in 28. So it's not like we'll be without some entertainment over the next, 10 years until this happens.
I mean, what are some of the biggest obstacles? I mean, we've got power and or fuel. We've got food. We've got oxygen. I mean, you just brought up all the debris that's going. I've never even thought of that.
Yeah.
I mean, are there going to be refueling points? Are we going to stop on the moon? I mean, what are the big problems that we need to solve before he does that move?
I think there's two problems that we're going to have in order to make that dream a reality. There's a lot of them. I mean, look, the reentry of Starship into the Mars atmosphere, propulsive landing, all that. But let's just assume they solve all those things. How do you come home? So that's the biggest issue I think of, is like, you will be able to get astronauts there a lot sooner than you would be able to bring them home safely. And there's no one-way missions in this work. Like, if someone wants to sign up for a one-way mission to Mars, auto excluded from the list. See ya. Like, you were absolutely the wrong mindset to go on an endeavor like that. So you have to have pretty high confidence that you can get people back. Right now, if SpaceX were to do this entirely on their own, they're going to need to mine propellant, manufacture propellant on the surface of Mars. And they need a lot of power to do that. So you need either a nuclear reactor on a Starship to create surface power, or you're going to need like endless football fields of solar cells, which I don't love that idea, because I don't know you're going to have 1 million Optimus robots maintaining it and cleaning off all the dust and everything. Not to mention, the farther you are away from the sun, the less utility there is in solar power. So I think it's going to be nuclear, and you're going to need to make propellant to top off your Starship to launch back home. And if you see Starships launch here on Earth, they have this whole stage 0, which is the whole tower with 1,000 people working on it under an atmosphere in 1G, and it still doesn't go always great. So, pulling off that operation to refuel and come home is going to be hard. I think the government can help with that by kind of working on what no one else is capable or willing to do that's hard, the near impossible, which is start building nuclear electric propulsion, nuclear spaceships. I think it's absolutely the right mini Manhattan project for NASA. Get America underway under nuclear power in space. If you can do that, you take a lot of pressure off of the in situ resource manufacturing. And then number 2 is going to be the human. People are going to have a hard time. So nobody likes talking about this because it takes away the hero image of the astronaut. But you've had plenty of astronauts freak out in space. They've tried to kill their whole crew before. Like there was a lock put on the space shuttle door for that reason, because somebody tried to open the hatch more than once and take everybody out. There's a lock on the Dragon space capsule for that reason. That was a carryover from that time period. It's happened to Russian cosmonauts. It's happened to American astronauts. And this is during a time when most of the American astronauts were the best of the best coming out of the military. So it is a unique environment, and that stressor has caused people to crack. So that's the psychology of it. Now, when you're in low Earth orbit, you can be in the water in 90 minutes. So you're 90 minutes from being on a helicopter ride to a cheeseburger, and people have cracked in space. When you're on the moon, you're 2.5 days from coming home. And when you're on Mars, you could be anywhere from 6 to 9 months to well over a year before you can come home. So, and think about it from you get into the psychology of it. When you're in low Earth orbit, you look out your window, you see big Earth. When you're on the moon, it's still the blue marble. When you're on Mars, it's a blue speck in the sky. So, we're going to have the psychological issues to deal with when you send humans to that environment, and then you're going to have physiological issues, which is we didn't evolve to be in sub 1G. So astronauts spend 6 to 9 months on the space station. They come back to Earth. They're a wreck for 2 weeks, right? So basically, that's the equivalent time of going to Mars. So when they get to a reduced gravity environment and they step off the spaceship, are they going to throw up in their helmet? What if we have to do surgery? Nobody's done surgery in space. I mean, it's only a matter of time when you're on multi-year missions that someone's going to have a ruptured appendix maybe or something else that goes on. So all the things that make us who we are going to be highly problematic on journeys of 2 years plus in space. And we got to figure that out. At some point, that doesn't mean you have to have it for the first 4 people, but if you're talking about sending thousands of people into space, there's a lot onto an outpost on Mars. There's a lot from the psychology and physiological side of being a human being that we have to figure out.
Man, it's just something I can't even fathom. I mean, sending thousands of people to another planet when we haven't even sent anybody back to the moon. And how long has it been? 60-something years?
Yeah.
And I mean, what is
53 years.
What do you think the plan is? I mean, when we got 1,000 volunteers, we're going to Mars. I mean, what does that look like?
Well, first, I mean, again, I think you got to have some of the most highly screened individuals possible. Mm-hmm. And because we haven't learned anything about this yet. I'm the analog astronaut environments where they put people in shipping containers and these bubbles. Look, you do learn some things from it, but you open the door, you're on Earth. If somebody's having a heart attack, you open the door, they're going to, it's, you always know in your mind that, underneath you is your home planet. So, it's just it's going to be that psychological stressor, not to mention all the physiological issues. You're going to have to pick some highly screened individuals that are capable of going on that mission. You have to know for sure, that you have a way to bring them home. There are no one-way missions on those first ones. You get that right, and then you can start building up that outpost. Look, in terms of the technical skills to go, whether it's the moon or Mars, the incremental velocity, whether you're going to the moon or Mars, is negligible. So if you can build a spaceship and top it off in low Earth orbit with tons of propellant, you can send it to the moon or Mars. The only difference now at this point is habitability. landing and how you come home. And Starship should be both for, should be able to work fine for both, considering both are designed for habitability landing. But coming back from the moon is a hell of a lot easier than coming back from Mars.
We talk a lot on this show about protecting your family and being prepared for the worst case scenario. But there's one area of protection that a lot of us, myself included, for a long time tend to procrastinate on, and that's life insurance. I've had term life insurance for several years now, and I remember the exact moment I realized I needed it. It was right around the time my son was born. I started thinking about the mortgage, the kid's education, and all the expenses I'd want covered if the unthinkable happens and I'm not here to provide for them anymore. But having a plan in place is what actually allows you to breathe easier. If you've been putting this off because you think it's too expensive or too much of a hassle, you need to check out Fabric by Gerber Life. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today, made for busy parents like you, all online, on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. A lot of people assume their work-life insurance is enough, but most policies don't provide nearly enough coverage and don't follow you if you leave your job. Fabric offers affordable, high-quality life insurance like $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. Fabric has partnered with Gerber Life, trusted by families just like yours for over 50 years. And Fabric is rated excellent on Trustpilot with over 1,900 five-star reviews. There's no risk, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can cancel at any time. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/srclips. That's meetfabric.com/srclips. meetfabric.com/srclips. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. I mean, have you thought about that? Have you thought about what civilization looks like on Mars?
It's going to be horrible.
Let's say it's, if 2030-ish seems to be the goal, what does it look like in 2050, 2060?
Not much better. I mean, it's going to be horrible for a while. That's why, there's a, there's a spectrum here of making life multiplanetary. Elon has correctly identified probably the most important goal for Mars is to make it self-sustaining. So if someday something terrible were to happen on Earth and the resupply ships stopped coming, that our species could continue on. Totally. From my perspective, Mars doesn't have to become Earth. It never will become anything like Earth, not in any foreseeable future. It is more of an outpost in my mind. It is more akin to a research station in Antarctica than anything else. We need to get there and show that we can get there and that we can, maintain an outpost and, generate power and propellant and learn things with the idea that we are going to continue on, that it is one stop on a much longer, grander journey, because that is not going to be a good home. And we also have never faced anything like this in our history here on Earth. The age of exploration, you get on a ship, you go from Europe to the New World. Trees are trees, water's water, fish are fish, deer are deer. You work really hard, you chop down enough trees, you build a bigger house. You figure out, you're trapping fur and you're selling enough of it, you're wealthy or whatnot. You could spend your entire life on Mars, you're going to be in a bubble. You're not going to go outside and, chop down more trees and build a nicer bubble. So life there is not going to be pretty. But we have to go there and we have to have that stepping stone if we want to go even farther. And we must, because even Mars is, again, it's our next door neighbor. Mm-hmm. It's nothing compared to the trillions of galaxies out there that we are inevitably destined to explore.
How do you think NASA, you had mentioned earlier that SpaceX shouldn't be the one to have to head all of this up. Where does someone like NASA fall into play?
Yeah, so it's a fantastic question, because of late, there's been this kind of do we even need NASA anymore? Of course we need NASA. NASA, a government agency, why are we all chipping in as taxpayers into an agency like NASA? because you need NASA to do what no one else is capable of doing, like what no organization, nonprofit, or company is capable of doing. And that's what they did for a really long time. And parts of it today, they still do. Like the whole science, planetary sciences side, heliophysics, like they're doing things that no one else will do unless we as taxpayers fund it. And we should, because we should want to know about the solar system around us. We're highly dependent on our star. We should know as much as we can about that. Star can get angry at times, create solar storms. It's problematic for our way of life on here. We should study these things. But then there's another side of NASA, and it's about 40% of the budget, that does a lot of things that SpaceX and companies eventually like Blue Origin and Rocket Labs and Stoke will be capable of doing. And that's a problem. It's a problem when NASA's in the business of building rockets, and so is Blue Origin, and so is SpaceX. Because if you're doing what other people are doing, what's the draw? Why wouldn't you just go work at SpaceX and you get a bunch of stock that's going to be worth money, or go work at Blue Origin and get a bunch of stock that's going to be worth even more? NASA needs to constantly be recalibrating to do the near impossible, what no one else is doing, and the things they figured out, they hand off to industry. Industry is going to build rapidly reusable rockets that will reduce the cost of space materially. Awesome. I hope SpaceX and Blue Origin and Rocket Lab are competing like crazy because they're going to make their rockets awesome and lower cost. What should NASA be doing? What they can't. Build nuclear spaceships. These companies are not going to play around with highly enriched uranium. They're never going to take the liability nor get the approvals to launch nuclear reactors with highly enriched uranium in it. That's exactly what taxpayers should be funding NASA to do. And in doing so, it will help enable commercial industry do what they want to do. So that's kind of the division of responsibilities, I think.
And then, what do you think the most important part of the journey to Mars is? Is it exploration? Is it a fallout shelter if Earth ceased to exist? I mean, what do you, in your mind, what is the most important part, or all of the parts of why we should be going there?
Well, there's an optimist side and a pessimist side. The optimist side is like, who knows what we may find? What if we find that there was life there at some point in time or another? That'd be quite the development, wouldn't it? And actually, it's very helpful for funding all things space related, because in my mind, there's only two ways you have the future that we all dream of someday, one of which is an orbital economy that helps pay for it all, or two, find proof that we're not alone. Because if you do, the demand for that knowledge will be insatiable, and it will fund lots of exploration and discovery missions. So there's possibility we might find proof of life. The capabilities we will develop in order to get to Mars will become a national asset. We could use it for transporting telescopes, for mining asteroids, for going to and from the moon and helium-3, like all these capabilities, like I mentioned before, that will need to be pioneered in order to make that mission possible, will be useful. You build nuclear spaceships, you could have solid-state lasers in space, you could have a whole new Golden Dome apparatus as a result of it. So there's lots of good or useful things that can come from establishing an endeavor like that. The kind of more negative approach to it, or hedge, if you will, is what if something really awful happens here on Earth? There aren't any dinosaurs around anymore. So you pick it. I mean, eventually at some point or another, our star will kill us off. Or maybe it's a bioweapon or a chemical weapon or a nuclear war or some new virus that just appears out of nowhere and takes us out. I mean, or an asteroid. That's just a matter of time. So for all those reasons, it would seem to make sense that we should, hedge our bets a little bit and start, spreading out. Not to mention, I just think it's our destiny. I think that there's way too much space out there and too much to learn for us to just sit here the whole time.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. No matter where you're watching the Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this at all, anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, head to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a review.